Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our live stream. Today's topic is Mastering Cloud Mastery, a dive into automation tools. I am your host, Peter Van Rysdam. I'm the head of marketing at Cloud Institute. And if you're not familiar with Cloud Institute, we are a training and coaching company that equips IT teams to confidently deliver on IT projects. We offer personalized coaching with cloud experts and hands-on project-based training to help you with your live projects. And I'm happy to introduce one of those experts today. Let me bring him in. There is Zaki Medina, who is presenting today. Zaki is an expert instructor and cloud coach who has coached thousands of aspiring data scientists and engineers. Before I turn it over to Zaki, I want to encourage you to ask questions in the comments, and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. Also, this recording will be available here on this LinkedIn event page. If you're watching on LinkedIn, we've also got it going on Facebook Facebook and YouTube as well. So it'll be there as well immediately afterwards. Finally, if you'd like a copy of the slide deck, leave us a comment and we'll connect and get that over to you as soon as we can. We'll try to keep this to just around 30 minutes. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Zaki. Take it away. Zaki, I think you're muted there.
Oh, thank you so much, Peter, for the warm introduction here. The dreaded double mute. so, as My name is Zaki Medina, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I'm really thrilled to see many of you join us today for our exciting exploration into the world of cloud orchestration and automation tools. I will be your Sherpa on this journey. And today's live stream is really about sort of an overview on all the popular cloud orchestration and cloud automation tools that's sort of shaping the way businesses manage their cloud environments, right? So we'll explore what these tools are, the what, why, and why they matter, and how they can streamline your operations and provide your operations with a competitive edge. We definitely encourage you to actively participate in this session. Feel free to ask questions on the Q&A panel here, because we will have a dedicated Q&A at the end uh, of our live stream, and I'll do my best to answer them. And if not, we'll come up with the answers on the LinkedIn live stream. So, if you post your questions there, we'll be able to answer those right away as well. So if any questions remain unanswered, we'll get to those right away. So let's jump in. Without further ado, um, my quick background is I've been doing cloud for the greater part of close to 17 years now, probably since the beginning, seeing all kinds of cloud environments, multi-cloud environments, looked at all aspects from a CTO role responsibility, and even part of it from the operations and P&L management side. So those are all questions that you can definitely ask. Is the how will these tools, so tools and underlying all of these tools really help to move the needle, right? And so before we get started, let's sort of briefly outline what we'll cover here. Our goal is that we want to explore what are the tools, what are essential. And as we sort of dive into these tools and platforms, you will hear some familiar names like Terraform, Ansible, Azure, Cloud Automation, Cloud Formation, and some of the key features that these are. And then we'll also explore where can we deploy them, right, in sort of our environments and so on. And then we'll sort of wrap it up with with our in-depth session here. So let's jump in. So, before we get started, it's really good. In our last live stream, we started differentiating between cloud orchestration and cloud automation. So imagine, one of the easiest ways is, imagine an orchestra, right? Every musician plays their part, but it's really the conductor who brings everything together to create that harmonious symphony, right? So similarly, cloud orchestration uses automation to coordinate, manage, and facilitate IT operations in the cloud. So it's really about creating that cohesive workflow that's going to help us achieve our business goals, right? So cloud automation, on the other hand, is kind of like our diligent stage crew here, right? They're behind the scenes, and they're all about reducing the manual efforts to manage and configure cloud environments. And then these automation tools are really our stage hands, right? You can think of them as our stage hands. They're tirelessly working behind the scenes to ensure everything runs smoothly and efficiently. They help with all with tasks like deploying resources, managing infrastructure, maintaining security policies. Again, the ultimate goal of both cloud orchestration and cloud automation is to improve efficiency, reduce errors, and then free up time of our tech team, right, our IT team, so they can focus on strategic tasks rather than getting logged down or bogged down with sort of routine, repetitive tasks. So that's what we're going to do. Again, let's get to know some of the maestros of the stage crew within cloud automation. And so, when we talk about what does the cloud automation platform stand for, and I use the term cloud automation. I may switch the term cloud orchestration. Know that cloud automation is a subset of cloud orchestration. Cloud orchestration is a much bigger umbrella term, but for our case and purposes today, it's one to one. So some of the key features that these platforms would deliver is, number one, infrastructure as code, right? So think about, going with our orchestra example. Think about like composing sheet music, right? Except we're composing sheet music not for a musical orchestra, but for the cloud, right? So this platform infrastructure as a code is going to allow us to provision and manage the underlying infrastructure through machine readable code rather than manual processes, rather than button clicking or any kind of physical hardware configuration, right? So it could just be in the form of a YAML file, it could be in the form of a JSON, or some kind of .txt file, say, or .yaml file that's saved. So that's sort of infrastructure as a code. Then we have container orchestration. So just as our conductor in our orchestra coordinates each instrument or musician in an orchestra, the our cloud automation platform is going to have an effective way of managing and deploying containerized applications, right? And then we have our multi-cloud support. That means, we need, well, maybe we're a world touring orchestra, right? And we need to be comfortable performing in any venue, right? Whether it be North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, wherever part of the world, maybe even Antarctica, right? So what's an effective way of managing and deploying our cloud workloads in both private, public, and hybrid cloud models across different cloud service providers? And we look at the three common ones today: AWS, Azure, and GCP, not in any order. And then finally, we have API automation, right? So as our conductor coordinates complex musical sequences, any orchestration platform will require to coordinate complex interconnected systems, tasks, and workflows. These are usually done via APIs, which configure and control a vast array of our resources. So these are sort of the four key areas, right? So these features really contribute, I would say, like, to the harmony of the cloud environment, optimizing productivity and enabling all kinds of good cost effectiveness, right? That your CFO and his team and her team would be very happy with. And so as we jump in, let's sort of jump in, right? And so I've kind of divided this using the same format as we had in our previous live stream last week. We're dividing into vendor agnostic as well as vendor specific, right? So, this time on the vendor agnostic side, we have Ansible, right? Just think of this as like a tool that's like the stage cruise coordinator. They use simple English language commands to automate processes, make deployments of applications in the cloud a breeze. I have Chef, or in this case, Chef Automate. This is again an open source tool. It's kind of like a stage designer. It's managing the server and organizing configuration tasks across our different cloud technologies. Then I have, Kubernetes, right? And this is sort of our jack of all trades backstage stagehand, right? This is they manage all the services and containerized workloads across all cloud platforms, multi-cloud platforms in any environment, right? And then we have Packer. Packer again is a DevOps tool. Think of it as the stage crew's record keeper, right? It's tracking all changes in the form of images and working compatibility with any cloud platform. Then I have Puppet. Puppet is sort of a multitasker, right? It's pulling the strings on several servers parallelly. You know, it could be doing both Windows and Linux platforms as well. And then we have Scalar as an example. So Scalar is this web-based tool. Think of it as our budget manager. It's maintaining security policies and compliance at the lowest cost across multiple cloud platforms. And then finally, we have Terraform, right? Terraform follows the infrastructure as a code model. It manages all the low-level sort of components and high level components efficiently and safely, right? So it's sort of the intersecting point, right? So IAC, you could literally say cloud automation is infrastructure as a code, but there are many things under that you need besides infrastructure as a code. You need an ecosystem that make up the cloud automation ecosystem. And then we have the three other, we have Azure, right? Again, these are the stage manager for the Azure cloud environment. It organizes resources, manages access, really ensures everything is executed in correct order. You have the version of it in AWS, which is cloud formation, same thing, as well as in Google Cloud Deployment Manager, right? So all of these, remember, in the end, the right tools can make the right difference between a smooth, successful performance versus a chaotic one. This applies to both an orchestra and a cloud environment. In a lot of ways, both have parallels. If some of you musical aficionados will figure that out. And so let's jump in to each of these. So I'm really excited to showcase some of these. So let's start with, alphabetically A, Ansible. So we're starting with the vendor agnostic ones. So bringing Ansible into the spotlight. Imagine if you could speak English to your cloud, telling it exactly what to do, right? It sounds kind of magical. Well, that's what Ansible does, right? It uses simple English language commands in Unix shell script to automate the processes, turning you into your very own, cloud conductor, right? So, but the magic doesn't stop here. Ansible actually has these things called playbooks, Ansible playbooks, and they're written in a very user-friendly YAML file format, which are, think of it like your spell book if you're a magician, right? They manage the automation tasks and they make applications in the cloud simpler than you would have had to. And what's more, Ansible doesn't require an agent to be installed on the client system, so it's like having a familiar or a cat move freely and carrying out your commands. Then there's another thing called Ansible Galaxy, where you basically have a repository of instructions that can be copied into your Ansible playbook. And then basically you have a library of all your magical spells and tombs and things at your disposal. So yeah, I know the orchestra and the magic show. I went to watch a magic show yesterday with my kids, so it was really fun. So anyway, so if you're looking for automation tool that speaks your language and really simplifies your cloud deployment, Ansible is literally your magic wand. And next up is Chef Automate. So, now to stir up some magic in the kitchen, we've got Chef Automate. So now don't worry, we won't be baking actual cakes today. Chef is a master of cloud automation. It's sort of, its goal is, like a chef, it can whip up a feast. And in this case, it's whipping up feasts of efficiency and reduced deployment risks for our cloud environment. So Chef Automate is actually an open source configuration management tool. It was developed with Erlang and Ruby, languages in mind, and it's kind of like a Maestro conductor, right? It manages your servers and organizes configuration tasks across any cloud technology. At the heart of Chef are recipes and cookbooks. No, these aren't for your favorite chocolate chip cookies. In Chef's world, a recipe is used to manage the infrastructure, while a collection of recipes is known as a cookbook. Just like having your own cookbook for cloud management filled with tried and true recipes for success, because we know every environment is different. I've deployed a particular cloud vendor's infrastructure in the same type of domain, let's say healthcare, numerous times, and every time it's different, right? So anyway, so if you fancy a tool that can help you cook up some cloud automation magic, Chef Automate might be the secret ingredient you're looking for. And then we have sort of Kubernetes, right? So again, this is a tool. It started off in Google. Google open sourced this a couple of years ago to manage their own massive environment, right? It's almost synonymous with cloud automation. Kubernetes, again, open source, and it's all about managing services and containerized workloads efficiently. Yes, there are other variants and clones and wannabes out there, but Kubernetes is really Kubernetes. It's basically the Swiss Army knife of cloud automation. It's portable and compatible with all cloud platforms, regardless of the environment. And it's this versatility that actually makes Kubernetes a fantastic choice for all kinds of different applications, whether you want to run services applications on multiple clusters and simultaneously on a cloud platform, Kubernetes is really your go-to tool. So again, the thing about Kubernetes is it's an overarching cloud container orchestration tool. It's very flexible, very powerful, and as you and everybody uses it. Doesn't matter if you're a startup or a large enterprise. Kubernetes is probably something that you use from day one the moment you have more than 5 containers, I'm guessing, or or 4 containers or 3 containers in the cloud. More than 2 containers, you're definitely going to need Kubernetes to do a bunch of these workloads. So um, sorry, I jumped a step there. Next up is what I use for cloud automation, is GitHub Actions. Now, GitHub Actions is a powerful tool. I migrated from Jenkins, which is another similar tool, does exactly the same thing. The only reason why we use GitHub Actions was we used to host all our software code on GitHub, and so it was just easier to just leverage everything within one tool, one ecosystem. So GitHub Actions is a powerful tool. It helps developers to automate, customize, and execute software development workflows right into GitHub repositories or where they would store the code, software code. So, some of the key features like that I love is event-driven workflows. Again, and what do you mean by event-driven? So, GitHub Actions actually stands out because of this. It means whenever there's an event, so it's an event-driven nature. It means the workflows can be triggered by a specific event. That means in GitHub, whether you're either doing a pull request, an issue creation, or even a specific time or cron schedule or cron job you're running, background job, it will all be triggered by those, and then it will create some level of customized and responsive automated workflow for us, which is very nice and easy to do. And then the next part is reusable code components, right? So with GitHub Actions, we can create workflows as code. This allows for reusability. We can write individual tasks. We call these actions. Then we can combine them to create a custom workflow. And these actions can be reused across different workflows and shared with others, enhancing efficiency and consistency. The goal here is to create action once and reuse and repurpose as much as you can. And then we have and all of this is available through an extensive community support, right? So we understand the GitHub ecosystem is massive now. It already benefits from the pre-existing vibrant community of thousands of millions of developers, right? So there's thousands of pre-built actions that's available in GitHub Marketplace that we can actually bring in to make GitHub Actions even more better, right? And then all of this seamlessly integrates with the GitHub ecosystem, right? There's native integration, whether you want to handle tasks like publishing packages to registries, you're deploying to other cloud services, or you're running test suites. All of these can be done within your familiar GitHub environment. Software developers love it, especially in a startup community where it's most engineering and product engineering is really software. Like if you're a startup focused on a web app or a mobile app, that kind of deal. So um, in summary, really, GitHub Actions provides an excellent platform for automating all your software development tasks and workflow directly from your GitHub repositories. And there's obviously GitLab CI as well, which is if you're using GitLab, that's the equivalent of that. And then let's come to Puppet, right? On the subject of tools, Puppet is the Puppet Master, right? It's the cloud automation configuration management tool. It's another one. It has some serious pulling power. It's mostly carved its niche out in Windows and Linux platforms on the early days. It was really good at handling several servers simultaneously, but its real strength lies in the administration of automation tools. So it's sort of our go-to option, right? When we have many, many tools, cloud automation tools. So it's going to be a tool that help you manage and control multiple servers. It could be, or a lot of people love it for its user friendliness, right? So, and it's really about taking and making your cloud more efficient and effective. And then we have a new tool, Scalar. This is a new one. This is sort of a web-based hybrid cloud automation tool. It's really more suited for large enterprises, and we'll get into that in a minute here. And Scalar really leads. takes the lead in managing both private and public cloud environments, right? Which is a very common occurrence in large enterprises. So it provides you that single unified pane of glass, that easy to use interface to control your multiple cloud platforms. One of its standout features is its ability to maintain security policies and compliance at sort of a relatively low cost. So this tool keeps track of your services, right? It will prepare all your customized financial reports. You'll even offer auto alerts to prevent cost overruns. So really helpful. A lot of questions I get when I teach either GCP, AWS, or Azure classes is, hey, why isn't these tools natively support, you know, cost overruns or some kind of, you know, well, they don't because they make more money when you go over in the cloud. So that's the money making. You need to get another tool like Scalar to help you that sits on top of these and help you give you alerts and prevent any kind of cost overruns. So again, if you're a large organization and you're looking to get your hands on a tool that offers sort of comprehensive approach to cloud automation, I think Scalar is going to be the answer, right? There's a few others as well, but I would say this is the one that'll keep your cloud automation tasks under control and sort of your budget in check. And then finally, we have, last but not least, certainly we have Terraform, right? This is a cloud automation tool. There's a true testament to the power of infrastructure as a code. Terraform started this. You could make the case it is the most popular one. There's others out, like Pulumi is what we use because of its syntax mapping to Python and others. So Terraform has its own language, right? And so, but it was the first one. It's still very dominant. It allows you to design, configure, and version your infrastructure more efficiently and safely. So let's say you're dealing with low-level components like compute services, networking, and storage solutions, or any kind of high-level components like software as a service feature and domain name entries. Terraform is right up there, right? It'll help you build all of that out. In fact, it stands out with the ability is it's one of the first tools to allow to work across multiple cloud service providers and is known for its sort of really great syntax and declarative programming approach. In essence, I think Terraform is sort of a blueprint of your cloud infrastructure. The first things people do is, when can I use Terraform, Jenkins, all of these, Pulumi, all of these tools in conjunction with Kubernetes and GitHub Actions or something similar, like a configuration management tool. So those are some of the things that you want to think about from a tool perspective. And then, as I mentioned, Packer is a tool also from HashiCorp, which also makes Terraform. Packer is really a tool for the DevOps world. It's really simplifies the process of building images. Its real strength is the use of a single JSON configuration file, which is used to build images. So it's like having a personal librarian that keeps track of all the changes in the form of images. So this makes it easier for you to manage and control your cloud automation tasks, right? Librarian or record keeper, whatever you want to call it. So another option is as with Terraform, Packer is also compatible with any cloud platform and can manage multiple images in parallel. Obviously, they go both well together, Packer plus Terraform, if you're looking to simplify and streamline your cloud automation. It's definitely a tool worth exploring. Um, and then finally, we have sort of the big ones from the built-in tools within we'll just cover AWS, Azure, and GCP today. With CloudFormation, the AWS example, again, we're not forming any rain clouds here. We're just, it's really an automation tool to shape the infrastructure of your AWS environment. With CloudFormation, you can create a template and sort of outlines all the Amazon Web Service infrastructure that you need to migrate services to the Amazon cloud. It's your blueprint, it's your map to the cloud. No need to manually do any of the configuration of individual resources. CloudFormation takes all dependent activities related to anything, whether it be a phased migration, lift and shift, cloud migration, or just building components, right? You are the master builder, right? Like if you think of the Lego, you're the master builder of your cloud infrastructure. So again, easy to control and configure the deployment. If you're looking to automate Amazon Web Services in your cloud environment, CloudFormation could be the tool that helps you sculpt your perfect cloud solution. And then finally, we have sort of Azure automation. Again, one of the top cloud automation tools. It's a major component of the Azure platform, similar to how CloudFormation works in AWS. It does things like process automation, where you can automate frequent, time-consuming, error-prone management tasks, update management, updates, your configuration management, and so on. So these sort of, help you manage, deploy, and enforce your configurations, and so on. And then uh, finally, you have Google Cloud Deployment Manager, which is the same thing. It's the version in GCP. It'll help you create templates and configurations. It's your personal architect to design your cloud services environment. You can use Python or Jinja to define the services, letting you use your cloud. So a lot of people like this tool because it's Python friendly. So if you love Google, if you're invested in that, this is a great tool to leverage. Um, a question, it gets asked when we do these sessions is, a lot of these cloud automation tools, are really handy, right? They really keep our cloud infrastructure running smoothly, and efficiently, whether we use, Azure, GCP, or Deployment Manager, or CloudFormation to orchestrate our cloud resources, or we use Terraform to craft our infrastructure as a code. But all of these, there's a huge impact in using them. But remember, the most important tool in cloud automation is actually you, right? The practitioner, the professional here. So your knowledge, your skills, and your creativity is what truly drives the power for these tools. So again, my feedback to you, guidance to you is to keep learning, keep exploring. You're here today. Thank you for that. And keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. So don't forget, this is a rapidly evolving field. I've only touched on a few of the tools. This is tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more out there, and to be engaged. And, if you want to continue to master the cloud together, you definitely, reach out to Cloud Institute with our cloud coaches. We can definitely help you out and seeing where your next journey could be in terms of cloud automation. And then finally, just want to do a quick recap here. In today's discussion, we looked at some of the difference between cloud orchestration, cloud automation, and so on. And we looked at the different tools and so on for orchestration. We looked at Kubernetes, Azure, Ansible, Chef Automate, Terraform, to name a few, right? Packer. So all of these all of these tools are really important for cloud automation. You hear the term buzzwords like infrastructure as code, container orchestration, multi-cloud support, API automation. All of them play a role in this. So these are, and hopefully this is the start for some of you. This was a refresh. Some of you found a new set of tools. For some others, this may be the start of your cloud automation journey. So I welcome you and keep on plugging away. With that, I don't have anything else, Peter. I think we're done. Let's see if there's any questions come up for us.
Yeah, we have a few questions here. Let's see. The first one we have is from James. Says, "How does infrastructure as code work, and how does it change the way we manage our cloud infrastructure?"
Oh, great question. Great question, James. So infrastructure as a code is really a key method for managing servers and other infrastructure components in sort of a descriptive model. So we're using the same versioning as the DevOps team uses for source code. And again, this can fundamentally change the way we manage our cloud infrastructure because it allows us to automate the whole process instead of, manually configuring and managing servers, networks, and databases. So infrastructure as a code, or IAC for short, allows us to automate these operations using code. So for example, we looked at today tools like Terraform, right? You can sort of write code to define and provide data center infrastructure using sort of high level configuration language, right? And these can then be versioned and treated just like you would any other code base, right? It provides a clear and concise way to manage and provision your cloud resources to be tracked. A lot of our teams, what we do is we end up creating a separate repo in GitHub with our code as an infrastructure, ISC repo, that we call it. Hope that answers the question.
All right, yeah, I think so. The next one we have says, "Many of these tools could have overlapping functions. How could they be used together in a real world scenario?"
Oh, that's an excellent point, Kerry. So, well, many of these tools have overlapping functionalities, right? But they have their strengths and are designed with certain use cases in mind. For instance, with Ansible and Terraform, we could use them to do provisioning of our infrastructure, cloud infrastructure. And Ansible particularly shines in configuration management, while Terraform is more known for infrastructure management capabilities. Then we have Kubernetes, right, which is really an excellent container orchestration. And then if you're using any of the cloud providers, let's say Amazon, AWS, as an example, you'd be leveraging CloudFormation because it's deeply integrated with all the resources you would need in AWS, right? So the choice largely depends on your specific nodes, your cloud environment, your team skill set, and that's really where I would say an example of a real world scenario would be you could use a combination of these tools. For instance, a popular one is Terraform for creating and managing infrastructure, Ansible for software provisioning, and Kubernetes for container orchestration and management, right? So again, it's really picking, yeah, the right tool for the job. I know it's sort of a cliche, but in some places the tool may have more than one use case. So.
All right, sounds good. I think we have time for one more. This is from Shad. It says, if I'm just getting started with this, is it easier to begin with orchestration or automation, which will have a bigger impact?
Well, as we said before, Shad, orchestration is the big umbrella term, and automation tools is that I would start with automation, and because orchestration itself is a big nebulous topic. With an automation, pick the tools, pick the things. I would think probably Kubernetes would be a great start. It's something that's needed at every level, and then pick something within the cloud that you're working on, whether it be CloudFormation, Azure Automation, or Resource Manager, or Google Cloud Deployment Manager, right? Depending on the type of cloud.
All right, sounds good. Do want to let you know about a couple of things. First of all, we have training content for all the major cloud platforms like Google Cloud, the Google Cloud Associate Cloud Engineer Certification Bootcamp that includes labs and one-on-one coaching, as Zachary talked about, for only $188. I'll drop the link to that in the chats here. But there's honestly an even better option. If you subscribe to monthly or annual coaching, you get access to all of the training and labs at no additional cost. Coaching starts at just $64 a month. So that's the way to go if you're serious about advancing your cloud career. So, Zachary, before we sign off, any final thoughts?
No, I think cloud coaching is really helpful because, you know, today we're just inundated with so much knowledge, what's out there, what's current, what's not. The answers today are different last year and the year before. So a lot of the stuff you can't ask ChatGPT because it'll give you not an insightful answer and an old stale answer. So the best thing is to ask someone who's in the field, like a cloud coach, who really gets it. So.
All right, sounds good. And please let us know if you'd like to be notified of these upcoming events. We can add you to our list. Zach will be hosting some more for us, including one that we have coming up on, what is it, June
Yes,
20th?
next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Uh, the game of cloud, so a little spin on Game of Thrones here. So do come in. It's a 1 hour webinar. We'll be covering a lot more in depth on cloud automation, as that's the theme for this month. So
And I'm
looking
sure
forward to it.
it will not be as disappointing as the end of Game of Thrones.
Yes, yes,
It'll be much
definitely.
better. So I'll look
No
forward
one
to that.
dies.
Yeah, that's June 21st or 28th. I just dropped that in the chat, so you guys can see that as well.
Excellent.
So yeah, I hope to see you there. And thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Zachy.
All
And
right.
we'll see you next time.
All right. Take care, everyone. Have a safe day. Bye.